Hi, I'm Trista. Thanks for clicking on this video. It's my first video like this. I'm going to be doing a movie review while I do my makeup. I'm not going to do full face because recently I've been having some issues with my skin, so I don't really want to irritate it. I'm just probably going to do kind of like general, brows, eyes, lips, stuff like that. Um, but either way, I'm going to be doing a movie review of Jeepers Creepers 3. And because I literally just watched it today and I did not like it. Um, for reference, um, I think the first Jeepers Creepers movie is one of my favorite scary movies ever, and I love scary movies, so that'd probably put it quite high in terms of like my general movie ranking. I don't literally have a movie ranking, but if I did, it probably would be quite high. Jeepers Creepers 2 is, in my opinion, a good movie. Like, it's scary, and I think that, it's not super, bad or anything in any area, so I'd say it's a good to like great, kind of scary movie. Maybe on the edge of great, if that makes any sense. But Jeepers Creepers 3 is not either of those things. um for people who haven't seen any of the Jeepers Creepers movies, I'll give a brief little backstory here. The first Jeepers Creepers movie covers Derry and Trish, their brother and sister. They're going home to see their parents. Um, and either way, so they keep seeing this really creepy truck that comes occasionally, and it has the license plate that says beating you on it, or be eating you. And eventually it almost like runs them off the road, and obviously that terrifies them because it's like legitimately like after them. And then they see this area that looks creepy, and then they see that it looks like he's dumping bodies down somewhere. And this reminds them that like two kids were killed like after prom or something. And eventually they decide to check it out, which obviously in a scary movie is a great idea. But and then yeah, it goes after them obviously. And it's kind of some kind of like monster thing that you find out needs to goes out every 23 years and eats people, kind of like very reminiscent of It. And it's weird that the kid's name is Derry because Dairy Maine and It. So it's like low-key ripping off It, but it's fine. It's fine. um but actually at one point in one of, a good horrifying part of the movie, he actually takes the head off of a police officer and eats it kind of like an apple. So, that's disturbing. Um and you don't really see the monster a lot, and the monster, in my opinion, does not look the best. Not necessarily awful or anything, it's just it doesn't look the best, which is, the movie benefits from not showing the monster a lot, partially because it makes it more suspenseful and like scary in the beginning. Especially, I think the beginning is an amazing, it's just really amazing. I think you should see it. Those movies on Hulu if you're curious. And also the monster doesn't look the best, I don't think the first movie really has to deal with that being a negative thing really all that much because of the way they dealt with it. I feel like whoever made the first movie did a really good job. And in the second movie you do see a bit more of the monster, but all I'm really going to tell you, because I don't remember a lot from it, is that they were on a bus and they were attacked by this creeper, who also, by the way, has wings, which is one of the things where you're just kind of like, why is that a thing? But, oh yeah, I forgot to mention a big important part of the movie. The reason why he's eating parts of people is because he needs, like, for example, if he needs new eyes, he's gonna eat some eyes or whatever. So either way, in the third movie, so apparently it's supposed to be set, sometime in between the first and second movie. And fans argue on when exactly this is. And it is kind of confusing. The timeline is quite confusing. I didn't even understand that the beginning of the movie was like a different, like, earlier timeline than like everything that else that like happens in the movie, and that it's actually before any of the movies. I did not realize that until I was looking up the plot of the movie to try and, determine what I'm going to talk about in this video. So they should have worked on that a little bit. I mean, maybe I'm just stupid, but I don't know. But also in general, the whole that it's set in between the first two movies is already kind of confusing. And they like didn't really like add in any dates, I don't think, which I feel like could have helped, because I mean, I'm not saying that necessarily that they can't make it set in between the two movies that already exist, but it's already kind of confusing when like those movies came out in 2001 and 2002 and this one came out in literally 2017. So yeah, I don't know. It was just very confusing with the whole timeline in general. And another thing too, one of the like plot lines like revolves around this mother slash grandmother, who you find out partway through the movie, that she was the mother of those kids that got killed like after prom or whatever, which is not the most obvious the way that they're like, phrasing it. And I feel like they should have made it more obvious in the beginning rather than it kind of being more revealed near like the middle end area, because that was just kind of confusing, because it's like, why are we focusing on these random people? Like, her son died from the creeper, which I found out that that's what his name is called. I don't like it. But yeah, so I just thought it was kind of like an unrelated dude that was just killed by the creeper, until I looked into it a bit more, and it was just like, oh, it's that one dude from, the prom. And I don't, I didn't like, the way that they led into that. So in general, like the like action in this movie is just not good. It's not scary. And the creeper, he barely kills anybody himself. It's mainly his truck, which is not something that we've really seen in these movies before. We've never seen the truck have any sort of devices to do anything. And I feel like they could have done this to where it was scary and interesting, but like they didn't do that. Like it's almost like the special effects were bad, even though it seems like they had the means to make them good. Like it wasn't that like necessarily like the things happening looked fake per se. It's more that, I don't know, it just looked like weird to where it like looked fake. I don't even know how to explain that, but like, and like I feel like if they made it kind of like a truck and kind of like a Saw type way, and just made the traps and things that happen with the truck a little cooler, that could have pulled off. Although I feel like if you're gonna have the creeper in this movie at all, you should have had him like kill people more often. Because he really didn't. A lot of the times that they showed him, he kind of just wasn't really doing much of anything, and it was just kind of like, why is this dude in the movie, But yeah, and like the only like interesting or scary like kind of like trap in this truck, because pretty much anything you do in that truck will set a trap off unless you're like the creeper. There were these spikes that would kind of like come down and would like crush you, kind of like a saw trap would, if like you're trying to go in or out of there. And that was shown multiple times, but no one ever got like killed from it. And like the only time where I think it actually like did anything was when it like pulled off Addison, I think her name was. It pulled off her shoe. So like the coolest trap in the in that like truck, they were just like, yeah, we're not gonna like use this at all. I'm gonna start doing my makeup because I've been talking for a while. But yeah, that just like really annoyed me. And like the thing is like a lot in the beginning, the truck never like killed anybody or anything, which like I feel like once you do that enough, it just like, I don't know, to like the viewer, it just makes it seem like the truck can't do anything like ever, even if that's not true, Like I know you can definitely have some scares, but it doesn't just automatically kill every character. Like I'm not saying that it should have done that. I'm just saying that if you're gonna have that like little truck gag, let's call it that, used multiple times in a row, don't have no one die like every time in that beginning part, because then after that it just makes it like not scary. And there was already some issues with what they decided to do with that whole thing. And like the fact that they just like kind of introduced that in that movie. I know that like once you get really far into sequels, they love to introduce new things that, were never in the story before. So I mean that's not necessarily an uncommon thing that they did that, but like it's just like why? And also I feel like they didn't really try a lot of new things with this movie. I feel like with the second one, they like, set it on a bus, and that was interesting. And it was like, and also they were able to make it more like a regular slasher movie, because like they had like a lot of people, like an entire, like football team or whatever it was, to pick off from, instead of like the first movie where, like, well, obviously other people died. There was mainly like the like main two. So they did try something different there, and I appreciate that. And I also appreciate that they did the whole like on a bus thing, because I don't think I've ever really seen that in a horror movie, and I think that you should try having different settings for horror movies. I mean, it shouldn't be the whole like main thing in the horror movie, like, it's just like Jason goes to hell or Jason takes Manhattan or whatever. I haven't seen those movies, but from what I've heard, they don't even actually have Jason in hell, or they like barely have him in Manhattan or whatever, which is already stupid. But like I'm not saying that type of thing. I'm just saying, hey, maybe this horror movie should be in a mall or in a bar. I don't know. Just instead of like it constantly being like in a forest or on a street or whatever. And I feel like this movie is kind of doing what the first movie did in some ways, but worse. So it didn't really try anything new. I'm not saying it necessarily had to try a different location or anything, but it should have tried something different other than that horrible truck thing that they decided to do, because I guess that is a different thing, but they didn't do it well, And oh my god, there were so many parts in the movie where like it almost was like an action movie, and also just like almost like an old movie where all of a sudden it's like slow motion, and like it, or like there was actually one time where it was like music that was like da da da, and like it, like would like do like the camera angle thing, and it was so cringy, and it was like, oh my god, why is this in the movie? It was so bad. Like that was probably my least favorite part of the movie. Those little like editing things. And it didn't happen like a ton throughout the movie, but it happened enough to just be like, oh my god, why is this here? So yeah, that wasn't so as I was saying earlier when I was going over the other movies in this franchise, the creeper himself isn't very scary. Although the first two movies deal with it well. The first movie barely shows him until like halfway through, and then even then they don't like show him just like, just straight like showing his face and everything all the time. He's still like a lot in the shadow, or if anything, it's just not like, close-ups on his face, and then in the second movie, while they do show him more than the first movie, because I mean, obviously we're not gonna have that scare anymore of being like, ooh, what is this thing? What does he look like? Like we had in the first movie. They still like deal with it quite well, and like, and also he like keeps like, in both movies kind of keeps like leaving and like coming back, which I feel like in this movie it's kind of like he's always there, but he's always not a threat for some reason, which is just not scary. But in this movie, they legitimately will have like close-ups on him, and he's like not even like doing anything, and also they just constantly show his face. There's like no mystery or scare anymore, and he already looks stupid. So when like you have a stupid-looking villain and you show him straight on for a lot of the movie, it's like, this isn't scary. And also in general, that's a big issue I have with this movie. It's just not scary. There's not really any build-up. There's not like, the villain doesn't really do much, so that leaves out that. And like the truck isn't really that scary, because in the beginning it already like didn't kill multiple people after having multiple like traps kind of go off, so that like makes that not scary. And then like, I don't know, the way, and also like it's in daylight for like the whole movie, and I'm not saying it's impossible to have a scary movie where the whole thing would be in daylight, but this is already a movie that has so many issues, and they don't have like an incredible director or actors or anything that can make it like to where it makes sense for it to be in daylight the whole time and be scary. So it's just a scary movie that's in daylight the whole time that's not scary. And I don't know why they decided to do that. Like, I don't even think there's like one scene that's in the darkness, unless it's maybe that opening scene. That opening scene might be in the darkness a bit. But like, other than that, it's just like, and also like, I'm pretty sure he had these in the second movie as well, but again, I feel like the second movie was able to like pull it off with everything else it did. He had these kind of like throwing stars almost, And in the third movie, they made it as stupid as it sounds. Him having like throwing stars. Luckily, it didn't actually show up a lot in the movie, but it did show up in the movie, and it just didn't. They didn't pull it off the way they did in the second one. Also, that is a bit of an issue I think I have with the Jeepers Creepers movies a little bit, is that he never really has a defining like weapon. Um, Cause like it almost seems like every time you see him, no matter like what movie it is, he has like a different weapon, which I feel like can make it like somehow less scary or like less interesting, because it's kind of like he's doing anything he can to like, survive. I don't know. Um, which just like, he's like this, immortal being that should be scary. He shouldn't have to like almost like struggle to survive. I don't know if that's what it is that makes it not scary, but like it just loses something for me. I mean, I know not everyone has to have like, their like hunter's knife if it's like the Scream series, or like Jason's like machete thing, although Jason also does a bit of, switching. So, I mean, I don't know. But like Freddy has his like claws, and I don't know, there are other horror movies that have like their specific things. I'm pretty sure dang it, I can't think of his name. The bad guy in Halloween. Everyone's gonna hate me for not remembering his name. Michael Myers. There we go, Michael Myers. I'm pretty sure he has a distinct, like, type of knife or machete or something that he always uses, to my knowledge. But, like, and I feel like that there's just something about it. Maybe it's not the, like, that he has to do anything he can, but there's something that's just not really super scary about having like a million different weapons that and like none of them are like really repeated, and like none of them define you as like a killer. So I don't know, there's just something I don't like about it. And I don't know, I feel like the other movies, he doesn't rely as heavily on weapons because he's like a monster kind of thing, so he doesn't really need to necessarily. And I feel like that's one of the good things about those movies. And also those movies, again, I feel like they're able to, like, cover up maybe the stupidity of him using multiple weapons. By, like, not... By, like, the movies being good and stuff. And I think that, like... Now I'm not remembering if he used multiple weapons in the other ones, but I almost feel like he did if he did use weapons. But I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't kill me if he didn't in the other movies, but he definitely did in this one. And I was just like, I don't know. And also, there were, like, a couple of jump scares in there randomly, and, like, the thing was, it wasn't, like, a jump scare movie, but there were multiple jump scares in it, which is fine. I like jump scares as much as the next person, and I'm glad that it didn't just, like, all the scare wasn't just off jump scares, but there really wasn't any scare in it, so, but, like, the jump scares weren't, like, because they're scary. They did make you jump, but it wasn't, like, because they're scary. I don't know if that makes sense, if any of you have had that before, but, like, I don't know, it's just kind of like a surprise. It's like, oh, he's here now, I guess. Like, I don't know. And also, one of the main problems in the movie is that there were, like, too many stories, and, like, none of them were interesting. Which I know I've heard someone say before, so I'm sorry for, like, quoting probably multiple, people who review movies, but, that just perfectly describes this movie, so I'm stealing it, okay? Like, okay, so there's, like, the police, and, like, there's also the main, like, police dude. He like keeps saying how he has some like weird backstory with like with like the creeper, and it never shows it. And I feel like that could have added to the scare, and also to us understanding his general history with him, because it's brought up multiple times throughout the movie, and and they like never show it or explain it. He's just like, saying that he's been in this for a while now, and he gave the other police officers a bit of the backstory, and, like, how he kind of has to almost, like, finish the business with, the creeper, which, like, they don't explain it, and it doesn't really give it any, like, emotional backing, and then there's the crazy mom that I mentioned earlier, who, like I said, was the mother of one of the kids that died in like one of the like first murders in this area that we heard about anyways. Um and and like the thing was, like I already said, that was confusing. They didn't make it super like, obvious other than saying his name. And I guess I should have remembered his name, but his name was brought up so little in the movie. I think it was Kenny or something. It was brought up so little in that first movie that, like, for me to be able to remember that is like gonna be really hard. And I've actually seen the first one recently, because I was rewatching it again because I really like it. um and like either way, so she's the grandma of this new character who's gonna be, getting attacked by this monster, which already is a little cliche. I didn't think about that before, but that is kind of cliche and kind of, I don't know, don't like it. Oh yeah, also there are a lot of like almost like cliche like things that like happen in this movie, if that makes sense. Like for example, it'll like stare out. It'll just like, pan out to like somebody or something, and then I don't know, it's not what you expected or whatever. Like I'm trying to think of examples of things that happen. But there are just like a lot of like it's not necessarily like regular tropes. It's like specific like action things that happen that are tropes that makes it less scary when you have all of them and the movie's already not handled well, if that makes any sense. So that's an issue there. And yeah, so basically like one of the stories, other than the whole police thing and them dealing with that, people not believing and believing it, and that's one of the like plot threads. Another plot thread is like whole crazy grandma and the daughter Addison, who basically all we know about her from the story is that she doesn't like that her grandma's crazy. She likes this boy who is apparently named Buddy, I think. And she doesn't want to be killed. That's basically all we know about her. And there's also like almost like another subplot with the grandma where she's like she sees visions of her dead son, and her dead son's telling her not to like unbury this thing that he had found, which I hate this part of the story so much. And it turns out it's like the hand, like one, like the old hand of like the creeper or something, because like he still has both hands, because I mean he can like kind of regenerate body parts, which is why he kind of like eats body parts and stuff. And like if you like hold on to the hand, which is like separated from anything, it'll kind of hold you up, your eyes go back, and then you see like how he was created or whatever. It's so stupid. And like from the first time they show it with like the old crazy grandma lady, like it kind of looks like he was killing her while he was like the hand almost, but like invisibly, which probably doesn't make sense to anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but that was like the dumbest part of the movie. I hated it so much. That's the dumbest part of the plot. And then there's like the whole little thing about Buddy, who, he likes Addison, and that's about it. He also doesn't like, want to be killed. And there was also this like other subplot kind of, I don't know if these are literally all like are counted as subplots, but I'm gonna count them because like they all like none of them really had that much of an impact on the story or really like took up that much time in the story. So like it's hard to like not count these all as subplots. Like I don't know, it was really dumb. So we're like so Addison went to her friend's house, and her friend's brother, so we get this really like random weird tidbit of information that like he likes to trap animals and to kill them, not just like a hunter, but like it's almost like he's a budding serial killer, how like serial killers do that. And like it's just kind of glossed over, like, and like it's also like the sister and mom are yelling at him as he's leaving and not gonna free this rabbit that he trapped. And it's just very weird, especially since they don't like bring it up ever again in the rest of the movie. And after this, either way, that dude meets up with his friends, and they all have motorcycles for some reason. And they get attacked by the creeper, and they all die. I mean, technically that weird future murderer brother doesn't die, but eventually later on in the movie he dies from one of the traps in the vehicle. One of the like only things I kind of enjoyed in this movie is how that dude, the brother dude, and Addison, they end up like waking up in the back of that, murder truck, and they're able to, like, use some of the one of the like weapons on the wall to cut like their the ropes and the sheet that they're and get the why can't I talk? And get like the sheet off that was covering them up, and they're like in like the back of the truck with a bunch of other dead bodies, and they can't really get out because of this, like, truck that could kill them. And I like that part of the story. I don't know. I just don't think the traps were very good. And either way, the traps is how that brother dude died. Um, I don't really remember how, because it clearly wasn't impactful enough. But Addison escapes. Oh yeah, okay, I do remember. Sorry. She ended up getting like the creeper to have like that same trap that killed the other guy, have that like activated onto him. Okay, yeah. Either way, this movie's stupid. Also, something that I don't think pretty much anybody would find scary about this movie is that the creeper, he has these weird screams that are kind of like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. And like that works for a dinosaur movie where they're dinosaurs, but when it's like a thing that kind of looks like a demon man screeching like I don't know, it's not scary or interesting or anything, it's just weird. So yeah. That happens more than once in the movie, and I don't like it. It's very loud, annoying, and not scary. And there's also a point where this monster, who, may I remind you, kills people so he can eat them to help him, like, stay immortal. And also, I'm assuming, so he's not hungry. I don't know that. He kills this police dude for revenge, and then they at least don't show him bringing him back to his van, and it seems like his body's just kind of left there, since the creeper just leaves with his axe and goes. So I feel like that also adds to the like not scariness and almost like seeming like an action movie kind of thing. And I didn't like that at all. It was kind of stupid, and like, why does this monster who eats people, first of all, care about revenge, but second of all, if he's gonna kill someone for revenge, he's not even gonna eat them? That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that annoyed me. And then at the end, since, like I said, it's in between the first two movies in terms of timeline, it ends with Buddy, because Buddy and Addison survived, and a couple other people survived, it doesn't really matter. So Buddy is going on to a bus, and, we're supposed to believe that it was the bus from the second movie and that he's gonna die anyways. And don't get me wrong, that was kind of a cool ending. I liked it. It reminds me of Final Destination, the fifth Final Destination movie. I love the Final Destination movies, by the way. But like, he wasn't even like on the bus in the first place, and I'm assuming that didn't happen in like Final Destination either. I don't really know, but like, at least in Final Destination they showed like the main characters being on like the plane with like the dude from that movie. They like showed it to where we could like believe it, extend some belief and be like, oh yeah, he was on that plane from the first movie all along. But they just kind of show him walking onto a bus, and for all we know, it could have just been any bus where, he was a football player or whatever sport it was. I don't remember. So, like, I don't know. I didn't really like that. I felt like they could have dealt with it better, but I honestly probably wouldn't care if it was a much better movie. And then at the end, it shows Trish from the first movie, much older, obviously, which weirded me out so much. Like, I knew that she would be older, but it was just very strange. It was like, oh my god. Who is that? I recognize her, but I also don't. But she like wanted vengeance on the creeper, which I didn't like. I mean, it would be fine if it was a good movie, if it had that in there and it was just kind of like annoying. I was like, I feel like she wouldn't do that. And like, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me for some reason. I didn't like that part of the movie. I didn't really like any part of the movie, if I'm gonna be honest. So yeah. It's bad, it's not scary, full of tropes. So don't watch it. It's not good. Yeah, it's not good. It has a confusing timeline. I forgot to say that in my little final speech here. That's a big issue. A confusing goddamn timeline. So yeah, don't watch it. Thanks for watching my video. See, watch my videos, don't watch Jeepers Creepers 3. But like I said, if you want to watch any of the movies in the franchise, preferably not the third one, go on Hulu. They're on there. And I'd assume that they're on Vudu if you don't have a Hulu subscription. Although on Vudu you do have to pay for things most of the time. And I guess obviously, even movies that I think are stupid, some people will like. So I guess I could say that if you like movies where the monster kind of looks like an alien demon kind of thing, maybe like more supernatural kind of things, and things where like objects kind of turn to life and have traps, and you don't care too much about character development and like when there's a lot of kind of stories that kind of tie together, I think that you might like this movie, might not. But in general, I don't think you will like this movie. So yeah, bye.